welcome back everybody to the IntelliStream Masters Season X. As we're here to finish up the day, as we've got Group B nearing completion. We only have 2 matches left, and the first one coming up here, as we can see on screen with the bracket, is going to be Lilbow versus Red, a European clash that could go either way, and after that we are going to have an innovation game towards the end. Which player is innovation going to go up? That's what we're here to decide.
It's more than a European clash. It's France against the Netherlands.
Oh, look, that's worked out so well with both of you being here. It's like the Roddy show match with Todd through 2 other players.
It's my boy.
Actually, last season we were talking a lot about France doing well and Netherlands being pretty good as well. We started talking about a France versus Netherlands match, but this season, to be honest, Germany has been the country overshadowing both countries. But now, with this match, we're really about to find out why France is so much better than the Netherlands.
Let's play it that way, okay? Why is the Netherlands why is Red gonna win?
Well, I mean, no, all jokes aside, I think Red has been doing very well. And I think, we really have a lot of good players in Holland right now. Red is, of course, by far and away the most well-known Zerg, but Jona is also a very strong Zerg. There's been a couple of Dutch competitions. It's not as legit as the Underdogs tournament that you guys have, but the guys from the DSCL, they're really putting in some work. So, Red plays against guys like Harstem and Utermal frequently, and it does really help. It creates a lot of national competition that really pushes these guys further.
Do you think, Roddy, if we had $100,000 each or maybe more than that, let's go crazy. Let's say $1 million each. I put $1 million into the UK scene,
yes,
and we pumped out the UK scene. That it would build up something like what France and the Netherlands has, because that's something obviously that the UK would miss, and a lot of other countries in Europe do too.
No, absolutely, that would help a lot. It would give a lot of motivation. Our dear friend the Muslim could finally win a tournament again. That would be great.
That would be great if the Muslim could win a tournament, but we know who's really going to win the tournament. It's going to be the Queen's #1 soldier, Bling.
Our finest creation, Bling.
Finest creation. So let's talk about the match at hand then. So let's talk a little bit about Red. So Red, we talked a bit earlier when he played. He's made this kind of resurgence in his career again. It's been many times he's done this, and he's now coming up on stage in a very important match, and it's a really winnable match. This is definitely a very winnable match for him.
I mean, he has won at least twice now over the course of, 6-7 weeks against maybe the smaller version of Lilbow, but then he's a little taller in real life. Petit Drogo, maybe not as well known yet, but if you can beat Petit Drogo twice, then obviously you know what you're doing in this matchup. Red is still pretty vocal about ZvP. He still says he's not a fan. He still says he can only win if Protoss messes up, but I really think he's selling himself short there. He's obviously doing something right. Otherwise, you don't 4-0 Petit Drogo in 2 best-of-3s.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I mean, the biggest difference between Petit Drogo and then looking at Lilbow now, Todd, is from what you guys have told me over the last couple of days, is Lilbow has that little spice of aggression that he throws in compared to Petit Drogo, right?
Yeah, they both like to go for timings, but I feel like they used to play super similarly with the exact same build, like textbook same build. Sentries, third base, Twilight, +2 and Blink. Whereas now, they've been opening differently from one another quite a bit more, and I feel like Lilbow, he has a few more builds up his sleeve that he hasn't particularly revealed too much. Since the WCS season, he went really deep in. So I do feel like, he's going to have that extra spice other than, for his aggression, even in terms of build orders. But at the same time, like Roddy said, beating T Drogo when you're a Zerg player and, twice in a row, that's very impressive. I would rate T Drogo's PVZ probably equal with Lilbow's, maybe even better.
Yep, even though Lilbow definitely has that spice, like you said, he's more unpredictable, and traditionally PvZ has always been a matchup where Protoss has to make sure that Zerg doesn't exactly know what you're doing. Petit Drogo feels different. I do not think that Lilbow feels about it the same way. If he would feel the same way, he would also never switch it up. He would just keep playing the same thing, as we see that fancy pink keyboard of his.
Caught my eye,
It's awesome. No, but he's definitely been switching it up a lot, and I must say I was very impressed with his games against Swordov in the WCS Challenger, especially when things weren't going well. He still made it look relatively easy. It doesn't make any sense, He has not the greatest economic opening, loses his first Oracle, just makes a bunch of Blink Stalkers, walks across the map and win. I was like, holy hell, how do you do that? I feel like I have to do everything right, and then I'm still struggling in the matchup, and he's just making it look easy. So Lilbow is definitely feeling pretty confident, and he is looking good in this matchup as well.
If I was to take a stab at what's going through Rhett's mind right now, it's probably like what Protoss chooses coming my way, or something like that, as Rhett and most other non-Protoss players like to think. But what would be going through Lilbow's mind right now, Todd? If you were to take a stab, we're all starting to learn a little bit more about him. Is he looking at this like, okay, this is an easy win for me?
Yeah, probably. Probably thinking, should I go for the 14 minutes or 13 minutes timing with Blink and a lot of sentries? Because usually that's what it resolves to a lot. The match that Roddy just mentioned, I guess, sort of was a lot of that. These timings that somehow seem predictable at the time, but unstoppable as well at the same time. So I'm really curious to see how Red's going to be able to do against these.
I feel Lilbow is very strong on capitalizing on minor opportunities. Zerg is slightly out of position, bam, he's there immediately with his sentries, drops the force fields, and he will not back off. He will keep on the aggression. So it's going to be extremely important for Red to always keep track of that army, always figure out where Lilbow could potentially go and where Lilbow wants to take it with, because he's just very smart when it comes to positioning that Protoss army.
Rhett's got a couple of smiles here. I can't help but think Lilbow's saying something really silly in that chat, and Rhett's responding with a giggle or two.
I asked Rhett about his games against Inno, and he's like, no good. I was like, was it bad? He's like, yeah, really bad. He's like, in game 2, he 11-11 me because I wasn't worth his time. Like, he's like, basically he said, get the hell out of here. That's what Inno thought. So, yeah, maybe that helps Rhett in a way to feel a little bit more relaxed going into this best of 3, because I think after that first series he probably doesn't look at innovation like, well, if I get my shot at redemption, it's gonna go great. He probably just wants to do well here and then just take it from there and just go in with an open mind. But there's no extra stress of, oh, I really want to avenge myself against this guy, because he was really ridiculously good.
How, I mean, this is a very kind of cliche thing to say, but how big of a moment do you reckon this is for Rhett if he gets this victory and is able to move through innovation and then get a top 8?
I mean, yeah, if he makes it to the top 8, then it's absolutely massive, because then he makes it out of a very stacked group. But this individual best of 3, I don't really think that Red looks at it like this is a make it or break it moment. Obviously, he would love to win it, because it would look good on his track record over the last few months. Again, beating a guy that has been the runner-up of WCS Premier League, that always feels good. But it mostly comes down to that second best of 3, because 4th or 3rd in the group, well, you win an extra $50. That's great to get a couple of Subway sandwiches or whatever, but that's not what he plays StarCraft for.
All right, well, Netherlands versus France and Todd versus Roddy in this one. It's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out, because I know there's going to be a lot of banter between these two during this game. But it's time to actually find out who will face up against Innovation. Rhett takes on Lilbow.
Hey guys, welcome back to the casting desk. We have an all Aussie cast for you guys. We may be a little Zerg biased, but we're going to be cheering for Lilbow as well, because he's a good guy.
Sure, yeah, we'll do that. You're the Protoss guy, I'm the Zerg guy right now.
All right, yeah, I'll do a little bit.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've lived with Lilbow in the past. I've seen him crush some skulls.
You certainly would know him a lot more than me, I think, living with him.
Yeah, he's our foreign hope at the moment, I think.
He certainly is one of them. Both these guys are foreign hopes. Don't be like that, pig.
Oh, Rhett's...
Don't be like that.
Rhett's on the rise again, but, I mean, Lilbow, man, runner-up in WCS, almost took down Hydra. He's...
All right, I give you that.
He's got that killer face as well. I mean, every time I see him sit down there ready for a match, he looks like he's actually ready to fight someone physically.
Yeah, but it's like killer face, pink keyboard. Like, I'm getting conflicting messages here. I'm not sure.
I don't know, man. I think it's just that, gotta show your style, gotta show your flair, right? Maybe the pink keyboard has the best mechanics on it. But first of all, he's gonna have to get through this Zerg player. Representing Team Liquid, spawning the right-hand side of Coda. This is Liquid's Rhett.
King of drones. And up here in the top left, we do have the French Protoss player, Lilbow.
I love the epic music on the second intro always. I always feel like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I like it a lot. So I definitely say going into this, Lilbow is most likely the favorite. I mean, considering his recent results, considering getting to those grand finals of WCS, and even taking it to Hydra. He's a very aggressive player. I remember that. I remember sitting down and watching those finals as well. He certainly is one of those aggressive Protoss players against Zerg.
Yeah, he's so good, even in the defensive part of the game, but it is his aggression which often pushes through, and once he gets to the blink stalkers, the sentries, he pulls out his mighty baguette, things can get really powerful. However, he's actually good friends with Drogo, a fellow French player who Rhett beat yesterday.
That's a good point.
So Rhett's gonna have to use different tricks this game, and it looks like he's already got something crazy planned.
Yeah, he's cooking up something damn interesting. That's a really quick gas, so he wants that link speed out quick smart. Unfortunately for him though, a quick scout across the map's gonna see this. But what do you think he's got planned? He's going to just apply pressure to the front. I guess it was a gateway opening, so there's no cannon or anything to deflect this easily. And it might even force him to invest in like the wall just a little bit further.
This is really interesting because if we remember, Bly actually knocked out Drogo doing this sort of gateway on the low ground build that we've seen. And he did it with a Speedling all in, but off a kind of weird hatch first sort of opening. With this one, it's going to hit very, very early. But if Lilbow recognizes, look at that, he scouts that pool timing, he's got to say to himself, I just need to wall off, get out a Mothership Core or a bunch of Zealots as quickly as possible. Let's not prioritize the Nexus because Rhett's economy is so small here.
Yeah, he cut a lot for this. I mean, it's going to also like force him, as we see right now, Forge is coming out as well as the Zealot, so he has no plans to go for that that early Nexus as he was planning. Still there, he's still going to get in due time, and I wonder from here, where does Rhett go? Really, looks like there's limited options. Like, it's like, okay, I got 6 things out, I got scouted, speed will be on the way, but I really just have to step back, start droning again, and just go into that natural.
Going to apply some passive pressure there. It does delay the Nexus a lot, and having Ling speed does carry over throughout the game, giving map control. One of the things you've always got to ask yourself in this situation is, what are the subtle advantages? What are the sort of advantages that you don't see directly in economy? And one of it is information. Rhett should be able to control the information and deny Lilbow's scouting, but...
You'd think so. As we say that, we look at the natural and that probe, just got a quick look at it. Tuling's going to be chasing it from here, but he's kind of seen everything he has to see. He's like, okay, the investment isn't gone too much further here. I can pull back. Probably going to lose that probe, but that's all it needed to do.
Really smart play from Lilbow, realizing now, you know what, if you put that hatchery down after this kind of 11 gas, 11 pool sort of build, like, there's no way you can be hitting me with a really fast Baneling all in. I don't need to just kind of build a double wall or anything crazy, adding his Cybercore now and so on. And Rhett really has to just sit back, macro up, and take that little bit of an economic deficit that he's going to be going with.
Yeah, and one also little bonus thing that probe saw was the fact that Link speed did finish, so Rhett didn't cancel it, go into attack, go into just saving money and just going into an economic game from there. He actually committed to the Link speed despite it being essentially completely shut down at this point.
We see the benefits of that delayed information, even though we saw the natural, still dropping a second cannon. Lilbow not wanting to take any chances here. Meanwhile, Rhett dropping that third base, starting to drone up. And this is a situation where I think we get to start to see some of the mental fortitude. How good is Rhett's mindset right here? Because when you do an opening like this, you are hoping your opponent doesn't scout it. You're hoping they don't kind of get prepared.
Certainly, yeah.
Hasn't worked out the way he wanted. So how well does he have the build mapped out from here? How well is he going to transition?
I guess he should feel pretty good. I mean, with that second cannon committal as well as his pretty decent contained. As long as he stays on top of the minimap, you know, he keeps looking at where his overlords are, make sure no probes get on the map so Lilbow cannot be aggressive like he wants to be. He should be in a pretty good spot, but he does have a lot of drones to catch up on.
Interestingly, a couple of extra gateways going down for Lilbow. You know, looking at this, I gotta say, I think I know where Lilbow's mind is at right now. He's like, this guy can't beat me in a straight-up game. He's trying to do some early pool shenanigans. Guess what? I'm going to make 3 gateways. I'm going to make a whole bunch of sentries. And look at the positioning of the gateways, even creating a wall off behind the destructible rocks. And he's just going to make a whole lot of sentries and probably move out to take that third base.
Yeah.
Really like the most typical kind of safe play here.
It's
Lilbow, he must feel very strong.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense too because, you know, he already committed to a Forge, so he can get an early +1, which will help out a great deal against any of these Speedling shenanigans that can happen. So he has a lot of options opened up to him, and he can play that safe game that he desires, at least until he gets to the Begat Protoss style.
On the other side of things, Rhett has lost into Scouting Overlord, did supply block him just momentarily, and he is rushing straight up to Lair because his Overlord at the natural poked in. He's seen all you're doing is building sentries, you're taking your gas geysers, there's nothing for me to really stress about right now. And Rhett is just looking at going straight to Hydralisk because he doesn't want to put himself down on a sort of redundant Roach tech. He wants to go straight up. Ooh, and actually get his double evolution chamber. Ooh.
That's a pretty good Roach Warren timing as well. You know, it should finish up nearly around the same time the Lair does, so he'll get speed out pretty quick, and I'm guessing it's just going to be straight to 1-1 Roaches, unless he wants to just, you know, have a safety Warren and go into Hydras with double upgrades, or even just Lings.
Interestingly, in the open bracket, we did see one ZvP from Rhett where he did go into double upgraded Zerglings with some speed Roaches,
I remember
and then head into Ultralisks later, so it may be that style, but in that game, he had a bit more of an edge than this game. Doing it in this situation, it is going to be a lot harder. And the real scary point with this sort of build is before you get any Hive Tech out, before you get a big critical mass of Infestors, you're going to have upgraded Zerglings, sure, but they can't get through force fields.
No.
And if Lilbow does a big, like, 10-sentry mass Stalker push, the Zergling Roach just is not what you need to defend against that.
No, it's kind of weird that he chose this build when playing from behind in that sort of way. He's throwing down that Infestation Pit now as well, but you do see a little bit of a pressure onto the map with Lilbow, and there's sentries plus a recall available. It's going to force out a bunch of roaches and maybe some lings, but still, I got to agree with you here. It's everything's going to come a little bit later than Rhett will want it to. He looked great when he did it earlier in this tournament, but this time around he's going to be playing from a little bit further behind.
Does get his roaches out just in time to deal with this. These sentries aren't really going to be able to do a lot. Ooh, Rhett might even get a sentry snipe. That's really nice, actually.
Yeah.
Being able to trade these roaches for sentries is really awesome. Forces the recall out. And, you know, Rhett has got 3 bases fully saturated, has got a 4th base going down. His recovery has actually been quite smooth here. And now being able to invest into these pathogen glands, these Zerglings, I think things are looking okay for him. But he does really need to be careful about, I think, maybe rushing towards Hive, getting something out to have that meaty late game army.
I think he's kind of just waiting at this point. You know, he's like, okay, it's going to be coming my way. I know how this guy plays, and I'm ready for it. And look at that. Oh, beautiful donut there. No burrow to kind of slow this the death of the roaches down, so they're going to get caught out. I guess it absorbs a lot of the energy, though, so maybe just down the track it'll help out just a little bit when all these lings are finished and go for a surround.
Oh, what a great scout there from Lilbow, spotting that Hive just as it starts. That's fantastic. That tells him he's only got about 2 minutes and a little bit longer than that until Ultralisks or Broodlords start to be a possibility. So a couple of minutes down the track, he's got to worry about those Infestors on the way for Rhett. Rhett moving out onto the map now. And Lilbow looking like he doesn't really want to diversify his tech just yet. Adding on a lot of gateways, a lot of blink stalkers, and a warp prism. I think we might just see a huge commitment with a blink pressure.
Yeah, it's looking that way. Everything's kind of lining up. +2 about to finish. He's warping in more stalkers and moving out with a warp prism. So it looks like he is going to head towards it, try and get the damage done, at least hurt the economy before ultras are even an option. And I love the Lings ready for a counterattack. He was showing this last time he used this style as well. Right, very on point, very intelligent play here.
Ooh, gonna catch a couple of Zealots there. Nice trade with those Zerglings. Anything Rhett can do to split up Lilbow's force is going to be very beneficial for him. Meanwhile, Lilbow is adding a Templar Archives behind this. He's not all in with this, but he does want to get in here and trade off. He wants to try and kill a lot of the Zerg units before they get the 2-2 upgrades, before any of these Hive Tech units enter the fray. Rhett, realizing this, he's adding Spine Crawlers here. Oh, coming forward with his Infestors. He lands a sick fungal there.
Sick fungal, but
really good force field. So, actually a really nice 3rd fungal as well. If he can get all those sentries.
And he does. He gets them all. Every single sentry has gone down except for, it looks like 2, but they don't have energy for force fields. Actually, there's a few more, but they're all empty on force fields. That panic force field just used every bit of energy up. If he moves forward from here, I gotta say, I think he might just lose everything.
Yeah, this army's starting to look kind of pitiful from Lilbow. He's warping in more and more High Templar for Archons, but
that could help.
Oh, I mean, that'll be great against the Zerglings. Oh, and actually, Roaches are coming out for Rhett now, but he's going to need a lot of them against this army. This is a pretty scary ball. These Spine Crawlers, though, what an anchor. They're really providing the anchor.
Yeah, so much damage here. They aren't 2-2 just yet. Maybe he's going to wait to fight before then. I mean, if he fights right now, Zealot's going to be 2-shotting. There's going to be a lot of damage that shouldn't be happening to these Zerg units, and it looks like Rhett will wait for it.
I think that's a smart decision. I don't think he can engage here. These Zerglings are just washing up against the rock of these Archons. The Zealots are making mincemeat out of this army. Rhett throwing another fungal growth, but it's just too early. He can't fight this army. His 2-2 isn't done yet.
Seconds before 2-2 finishes, he loses his entire army. He's still trying to catch up. 20 more Roaches on the way, and 2-2 still nearly finished. Just a little too early, a little impatient there. I guess he was getting a little too intimidated by the constant warp-ins from the Warp Prism. Getting a little too worried to just get a little too big.
You know, the Roaches deal with this army really well. Even without the attack upgrades, in big enough numbers, they can deal with Zealot Archon. But now he's lost so many units. He's actually down in supply against this Protoss ball, down in upgrades, at least for the Roaches anyway.
Yeah.
And this Protoss army is going to kill the 3rd base. A couple of force fields here, just making the Zerg army filter in. Drones coming in with it. The drones aren't going to do anything against Zealot Archon.
No, not up a ramp like this especially. No, nothing is going to really help there. And from here, Lilbow's army just gets bigger and bigger. No real damage happened to it except to the sentries after those initial fungals. Another big fight happens. So many Archons going to do serious work on these roaches. GG.
Oh, wow. What a decisive timing there. Once those sentries went down, I just thought there's no chance of this working.
I think it really came down to Rhett choosing to fight when he did. You know, he should have waited just a little while longer. I think, I don't know if giving up a base is worth it. If he was rushing towards Ultras, it could have been a good idea, but where he was at, it was nothing but Ling Roach, and he was using these spines to help out, but the timings just didn't line up to when he wanted to fight.
There was that sort of moment there, wasn't there, where the compositions got just a little bit caught out for Rhett. But hopefully he can pull it together, show us a really good match too, of course. If he does lose here, he will be knocked out. Is he going to be able to bring it back, guys? Stay with us to find out just after this short break. Welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters Season 10. We are live from Cologne.
We are, mate. We made it. Aussies are in Cologne. We made it to Germany.
We're taking over the world,
We're taking over ESL right now.
We couldn't do it as players, but we'll do it as the dudes that talk about the games.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Maybe one day soon we could even level up, lose a bit of our passion, start casting other games as well.
We could try that.
Yeah.
Might not be a bad idea, man. We'll see what happens.
I don't know. Maybe not just yet.
If we fail at StarCraft casting like we did at StarCraft Pro Gaming, there's always another option out there. But let's not get too carried away, Pig. We do have a match on our hands, Rhett versus Lilbow.
Luckily, we're watching this match. I mean, these guys are kind of in their prime right now. They're in their focus.
These are playing very interesting games. Unfortunate for Rhett losing that first game. It's taking a little bit of a chance in aggression early on, going for that very quick Ling speed and not finding really any use for it.
And yet transitioning reasonably well from there.
I still feel like he was a step behind the whole way, and that's why he ended up in that very awkward position where he committed to a fight that was going to get his face crushed.
I think definitely, Drogo and Lilbow talking, and I think Lilbow knowing the style really helped him out there. Was able to make that on-the-fly adjustment. Is he going to be able to anticipate what's happening this game, though? First of all, he's going to have to take out this guy. Spawning in the top right-hand side of Cactus Valley, this is Liquid Red.
He's got to win 2 games in a row to stay in this tournament. Pressure is on. Down here in the bottom right, the Protoss taking game number 1. He is the French player, Lilbow. Very aggressive, grand finalist of the last WCS.
And if the smack talk in the lobby before that first game was anything to go by, he's a little Bonaparte, and he says he's gonna conquer the Netherlands and enjoy riding around the Netherlands on a bike and speaking French to everyone.
That is cute. I like that.
There's some very unique smack talk.
Yeah. Why not? Bring back the history.
All right, so Cactus Valley, how do you feel about this map,
Cactus.
Blade? I feel like it's a little bit tricky for Zerg in some positions. Like there's a few choke points. Do you think it's okay though? I do see it a lot in the top leagues. Like a lot of players seem to not veto it.
Yeah, we do see it quite often. I think there are a lot worse maps out there for this matchup for both sides, and I do find it very difficult for Zerg to try and make their way into the natural always, because I mean that natural is so small. 2 force fields will seal it off completely, with even out a ramp there. But besides that, it is a big map. You got a lot of space to work. Zerg can get up to 4 bases fairly decently easy. I do find like when we do see the Baguette Protoss go out, the Stalker Sentry, this map is great for force fields. There are some really awkward places Zergs have to fight in, which are not good at all.
Yeah, I feel like if you're in a really standard sort of game, you're dead even, you kind of go for like Roach Ling without like Burrow move or anything like that, you just can't fight the Stalker Sentry front on in a lot of positions. So, interestingly enough, Rhett actually opening up really safe here with a pool hatch, which I find a little bit odd because Lilbow very rarely opens Forge.
Yeah, that's something I was about to note as well. It's like, well, this actually seems very abnormal. Like the most extreme thing Lilbow will do, which we've seen so far, is a gateway at the front of the natural. And if he's not doing that, it's probably a gateway in the main. I don't think we've ever seen him go for a cannon rush.
Not just yet. Lilbow playing really smart here. Doing, I guess, the age-old when you're ahead a map in a StarCraft game. What's a great way? If you feel like you feel like you're stronger than your opponent, you feel confident, you just go for that economic opening. Going for the Nexus first, straight into the gateway in the main base. Yeah. Lilbow's just got a roaring economy right now. He's feeling very comfortable, and he's actually completely skipped on the probe scout. So it's really just a huge focus on his economy.
I do like that. I do like that a lot. You have a chance to take. You have a game to burn. Let's get crazy, let's make some money. And from here, You know, he's already got those 2 gases up and running, Cybercore on the way. Ling's going to have a good scout off, so he wants to get something to deflect this, but he's got a lot of options to throw down some tech at some point soon, too.
The Zergling here, hunting the probe. He just wants to play, just wants to grab onto the back of that probe, throw it around a little bit. Probe's having to lose a little bit of mining time for this, just a little bit of an annoyance by Rhett. Getting a bit of scouting information as well. Seeing this, he knows it's a Nexus first.
Oh, he could get a probe here if he's not careful. Nice micro. Keep it alive for now, and Zealot's going to try and deflect the scout. It's just going to be a Mothership core and a sentry. You think we'll see more of the same? You think we'll see just a 3rd base at some point? As I say that, a Stargate comes down. Could be an Oracle and do a 3rd, though.
Yeah, it's actually a really fast, or a relatively fast Stargate. Most likely going to be going for that Oracle 3rd. It is such a solid way to play. I think one of the great things I love about Lilbow's play is only once he sees what's going on is when he actually decides to react and adjust. Sometimes I really do get the sense that it's only once he sees weakness that he decides to dive on top of it. And he does go into these games with a little bit of flexibility.
It's interesting for a Protoss player to be like that, because that's mostly like a property of a lot of Zerg players, be reactive. Zergs are a very reactive race, but when you're seeing a Protoss be this kind of reactive, it's unique, and I like it. And yeah, he makes good use of it so far. He's had a lot of success with it.
Double gases are finishing up now for Rhett. Getting those at quite a nice timing here. No real pressure put on by the Protoss, so it does give Rhett a bit of freedom up to now, but now we have seen that Oracle starting, and Rhett is going to need to drop spores very quickly.
Yeah,
and
he should have seen that. He certainly was in vision with it. So spores gonna have to come down soon. You never really want to rely on queens alone to deal with these kind of things.
This is actually an interesting way of dealing with it. So what he's doing is he's delaying the spores, and he's actually just going straight for 5 queens. He's already got a 4th one out, I believe. Ooh, okay, no, just the 4 queens. But he's just pulled 2 to his natural. This is really risky. He's relying on the Oracle coming in from this direction. These 2 queens are going to try and shove it back. But if that Oracle just goes to the other bases quickly, it may find a lot of weakness.
I think it will. You know, the spore's not complete here either. He started them just a little too late. Still no committal from the Oracle though, so it looks like Rhett will get away with it.
Yeah, really clever adjustment there. And oh, it comes in, gets only 2 drone kills, and now it's so bruised. So actually a really efficient defense from Rhett. A lot of players would say just drop the spores nice and early, but you've got to remember that's lost mining time. Each drone that goes into that's like an extra drone and a half in mineral cost, plus the drone that goes into it. It slows your economy down so much, and Rhett, the master of drones, the master of the game of drones.
I was about to say, it's classic Rhett right there. The king of drones, like waiting to the last second to put down a spore. Love it. And he's going straight into Hydras. We do have seen a lot of Ling Hydra timings on this map from a lot of successful Zerg players recently.
Oh yeah, where's his drone count at right now, Moonglade? I'd love to see that. 58 drones. Looks like he could just stop here and go straight into a big swell of Hydra Zergling. A really cool style we've been seeing in Korea, not so much in Europe, is also getting a Spire behind this, getting out a small squad of Mutalisks and kind of floating those around, killing probes. We saw that a lot in the top 4 of GSL last season.
You could name
Curious and Biel.
Biel's the king of that. He really threw that out there and had a lot of success with it. I love it. Look at this though. We are seeing
that's a lot of sentries.
A lot of aggression. I mean, they are sentries after all though. You can't be too afraid. But with an Oracle, maybe you can find some damage, at least some creep killing.
This is really powerful. Just pressure to kind of maybe even force field a few Hydras. Oh, don't lose those queens, Rhett. Oh, nice little box of force fields. Those sentries are going to pick up a couple of queens for free.
That's
the
on point,
Hydras just kind of bouncing around behind the force fields. And Lilbow says, yeah, all right, you got Hydras out. Let's go home. Nice pickup.
Oh, I do like that. 2 queens now remain, so he's going to be without a queen on 1 base for some time, damaging that production at a very important time for Rhett. You know, he is making nothing but Hydras right now, and we'll go into Lings behind that when those injects pop. So he is looking for that timing, but he slowed it down nicely. I like it.
This has been slowed down a lot here. Rhett's pushing across the map with these Hydras. There doesn't seem to be much plan besides Hydraling off 3 base saturation right now. No 4th base, no tech behind this. It is all about this big swell of Hydra Zergling right now and what Rhett can make happen with it. This is so irritating for him because he wants to surprise Lilbow if he can. But look at this. There's these white triangles of Protoss vision just chilling on top of these Hydralisks, and it just means Lilbow is always going to be so prepared for whatever is coming his direction.
Yeah, and from here he's just doing nothing but massing units. He's making more gateways behind it, warping in, sitting at a choke point. That is so hard for Hydras or any sort of Zerg unit to get in unless they're Ultralisks or Broodlords, and they aren't on the map.
Oh, Oh, such patient play from Lilbow. I love this Phoenix over here on the right-hand side. He says, you know what? I figured out what you're about, Rhett. You want to kill me, and you want to kill me fast. I just am going to keep making units. I am going to defend him. Oh, actually moving out. Quite ballsy. Rhett's now pushing around the left-hand side flank with the other half of his army. Oh, another hallucinated Phoenix. Oh, look at this. Just fantastic scouting from Lilbow. So well prepared.
He's no stranger to this kind of aggression, so he's going to try and cut out half the army, destroy it, then come back for the rest. I do like it, but if he gets put out of position too far and these Hydra-ling on the right side come into the natural, it's going to be a bad fight for him.
Oh, it looks like Rhett's army is actually swinging around to come through the north side of this choke point. He's actually forcing Lilbow to come into his Hydras.
No.
Oh, the blink on top of the Hydras. There's enough Stalkers to kill them very quickly, but he's losing a lot of Stalkers in the trade. This is a pretty good fight for Rhett so far.
It's not bad at all. You know, he's force fielding out a lot of the Hydras up north there. As he run out of force fields, he's actually letting some of them in. He's got to be careful here.
Another really good blink on the right-hand side. That time only losing 1 or 2 Stalkers and shutting down that big ball of Hydras. Suddenly the supply is looking so much closer. There's just so many Stalkers here. The Hydras are drifting in so slowly. They're so immobile.
They're so slow.
Oh, there was just never that many Zerglings to support as well. There was never the really mobile part of the army. And Lilbow is being so decisive hopping on top of this.
Yeah, the army just got cut up so much, you know, going from all sides like that. And Lilbow with the fantastic hallucination scouting was jumping on each side, and GG just like that. Lilbow takes a 2-0 victory.
Oh, a simple, clean, crisp win there. That, I mean, you can see it there. He's just like, no sweat. I knew exactly what I wanted to do those games. I picked up on how my opponent was playing, and he really just reacted perfectly to those aggressive strategies.
Absolutely brilliant play. You know, that scouting, the hallucination scouting was just, it really won him the game, as he knew exactly where he was getting flanked from and how he could jump on top of it with Blink Stalkers. Great read early on as well, and from there, you know, just shutting down that build. Hard map to play on, hard map to be aggressive on with any race, really, with those choke points.
Yeah, there was that moment where it was looking so close for Rhett, and maybe if there was just a few more Zerglings flooding in at the right moment, there could have been, you know, the blink on one half, and then a few more Lings and Hydras come in, and suddenly it turns around on the Protoss player, as we've seen happen so much in the past.
It was close, you know, a lot of Stalkers went down when he blinked forwards like that. If there wasn't like another Hydra force from the top side, if they weren't completely zoned out, or if, you know, Hydras from the left side came in a little bit further in, there were opportunities there, but just getting caught out just a little too much and losing too much too early.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you always want to push in at the moment, I think, in the metagame against Protoss, right? Like, you feel this sort of pressure to do that. But I think Lilbow is just like, almost could see into Rhett's mind, and he's like, well, I can tell what you're doing from these strategies. I was probably already thinking from how you played yesterday in the open bracket. This is the way you're going to try and play against my race. So I think he just played very carefully, very calmly, and it's not very often you can do that in a tournament where you can kind of just see into your opponent's mind and say, I'm just going to play super safe.
Hey, I mean, it helps when you have a revelation on most of the army coming your way as well. That actually puts so much pressure on the Zerg player, on Rhett, like to actually make a move. It's like, well, you know what I'm doing. You see my army. I have to make something happen sooner because you're just going to be sitting there preparing from now onwards.
Yeah, exactly. It's just such a hard position. A really powerful game there from Lilbow, of course, taking that very, very decisively. Not sure if they're actually ready for the interview just yet.
We can talk a little bit more about Protoss and Zerg. You know, Lilbow is looking fantastic so far, and now he's going to go up against Innovation. Oh, man. That's going to be a scary matchup.
I think he's been mentally preparing for it. Let's hear from the man himself. Sean, take it away.
Thank you very much, Aussies. Hope you enjoyed casting together. I'm now joined by my dear friend Todd, and of course Lilbow. Congratulations on your victory.
Thank you.
I know it's not over yet. You've still got a big game to go ahead of you, so we'll talk about that in a minute. But let's talk a little bit about your day so far. We haven't had you up here. So you started off pretty decent. You know, obviously the first map earlier on against Fantasy. How did you think that series went down in your own mind?
Well, the early game was just very weird. I expected to see a Reaper expand, but when I saw the Hellions, I knew he will do a push later on, and the Blink wouldn't be useful, so I just decided to go GT, and the GT just worked very well, so from there I was a bit ahead, and I could just end the game later.
Did you feel that Fantasy was a strong opponent for you, or did you feel that series you could have taken him down?
No, I feel like I don't know him enough. He did some pretty weird builds, weird openers, and I just lose to it very often, and rarely lose in the late game. So if I knew him a bit better, I think I would have won the best of 3.
Okay, Todd, do you want to talk a little bit about Rhett here then?
Yeah, it seems like you really like those big pushes with a lot of stalkers and sentries, and like I see a lot of Protoses try it, but a lot of them fail. Whereas you, almost every single time I see you do it, you seem to win pretty much every time. What's the difference between when you do it and other Protoses do it?
I think a bit better macro. Take your 6 gas a bit later, because if you take it like directly when your third pops, it will be just you will just have way too much gas. So because of it, I think I have like 5 more stalkers in general, and just micro. If your opponent is doing a lot of links, you have to make sure no one link is hitting your stalkers. Just a bit better macro and a way better micro, I think.
Okay, you came off from a, I guess, very strong performance in WCS with ending up being the runner-up into a lot more tournaments where you didn't do nearly as well. The MSI Masters Gaming Arena, you failed to qualify in the last match. You lost to Harstem. Then now more recently at the Aces, you had also a harder time. And then T-Drogo, another French Protoss, ended up taking second. What do you attribute, I guess, your results being a little bit lackluster in that regard to?
Coherence.
Good answer. Good answer.
Yeah.
You lost to Harstem though.
PvP.
Like a true friend. Quick answer to everything.
Nothing much to say.
Let's look at this next match. I obviously don't want to talk too much about it, but it's surely just a difficult match, right? That's the number one thing you got to look at it as.
Yeah.
So is it winnable though for you? You think you can take this guy down?
Yeah, sure.
I know you're very confident in that. You said you're very confident in these matches. Are you worried a little bit about the power of innovation? Because everyone knows that innovation is definitely one of the best Terran players in the world, and you've played against a fair share of Terran players, but you haven't played against that level before.
I think I prefer to play innovation than fantasy. And if I'm able to play my very best, I should be able to win, I think.
You know weaknesses in Innovation's armor? You know how to beat this guy?
He's just normal Terran with a bit more units.
Just a few more units than most people.
How does this matchup compare to when you played Rain last time?
Well, Rain is PvP and is full luck, so... Like when I played Rain, I was like, yeah, okay, it's PvP, let's be lucky and win. Like I could play Rain or Arium, it would be the same.
I'll say, final question then. I mean, this is a bit of a crazy question. Do you look on the bigger picture? I mean, you look at your WCS rank often. Do you look at this? Do you follow your Aligulac rating and see how high you're going compared to other people? Do you do these things?
Yes.
Yeah, I watch Aligulac quite often, actually.
Just to see where you're going in comparison to people?
Yeah, I want to go to BlizzCon for sure.
Yeah, okay. And, well, you've got Season 3 of WCS just around the corner as well. Going to be a very important season for you. But, more importantly, you've got a game against Innovation, so we'll let you go get ready for that, and best of luck.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Lilbow. It's time now to go to a quick break, and when we return, we are going to be having the last game of the day as Lilbow attempts to take down Innovation. Innovation came into this as a big tournament favorite. It's going to be an interesting one. Before we go to that break, do make sure to check out plays.tv. Some of your favorite players have already played. Maybe Sue, you missed him. Go check out plays.tv, find the StarCraft 2 section, find the Intel Extreme Masters section, and we have games, highlights, and lots more. We'll be right back.